Hi everyone, I wanted to come on today and share one of my very favorite layouts for using up 6x6 papers. I think this layout is easy, and at the end I think there's very little waste. I'm going to go ahead and show you the cutting layout that I use and walk through putting together one of the cards, as well as show you another layout idea to use up the scraps that you may have from this. I think many of us have 6x6 pads laying around in our stash. I'm going to actually be using some 6x6 designer series papers. Today I'm going to use the Flowers for Every Season that's new in the annual catalog. There's so many pretty colors. This is like my favorite of those stripes, but so many pretty papers. I think this works especially well with double-sided paper because you can, with this layout, it works nicely to have kind of coordinating back. But if you're using a collection of papers, often they will coordinate anyway, so you can kind of pick and choose how to put them together. So just to start off, I'll show you kind of the cutting layout that I use. This is a 6x6 piece of paper, and I typically cut it so that I have 4 3x3 squares to begin with. And then from there, as I'm going through and deciding which papers I want to match up, then I might start cutting my 1.5x3, which is just half of those 3x3 pieces. And so at the end of the day, I may, for example, if I love this paper, and know that I can find some other papers in the collection that coordinate, not just the back, the B side of the paper, I guess you call it. If I may just want to leave all of these pieces as a 3x3 and then coordinate them with some other papers on the bottom part, or I only cut up one of the squares and then the other 3x3 I leave to coordinate with another B side or one of the other papers. So I think it'll make more sense as we go through, but I think first I'm going to go through just putting the card together so you can see that, and then I have many samples to show using this layout, so I'll go through those after. So started out with, here is one of the pieces of the 3x3 that was cut down from that 6x6 paper. Here is a piece of the 1.5x3 inch that I had left, and so these are both different papers, but they're part of the same collection, so I thought they coordinated well. This card piece measures 3, I just want to check this, 3.25 this way by 4.5, and so that's what we're going to layer our pieces onto. So I'm just going to go ahead and find my liquid glue that I'm using today. Try to be in frame here. And so this one I can pick which way I want the stripes to go. I think I'll have them going this way. I'm having a little bit of trouble seeing what I'm doing, so hopefully you guys can see. So I'll go ahead and lay that down here. And I'm actually flipping this layout a little bit from what I've done previously. So for most of my other cards, you'll see the layout is like this, but I'm actually going to flip this, and it's going to be where the 3x3 piece is on the bottom and the 1.5x3 is on the top. So let's see. Go ahead and do this. And I'm just kind of making sure that I have even edges all around. I can already see that I'm off a little bit, but of course if you're doing it, you'll be able to see it a little better. This isn't really my best setup for filming, but it's what I have right now. So then I've gone ahead and I just have a little piece of Bumblebee cardstock. Also, the colors that coordinate with this is Magenta Madness. And I'm a little off here, but that's okay. I'm going to cover it up. So this piece just measures, I think 3/4 of an inch by like 4.25. So, and I just want to make a little banner out of this paper. And so I'm actually using I don't have a banner punch, so I'm actually using this tailored tag punch from Stampin' Up, which I really, really love. This is one of my favorite tag shapes. But within here, you can just make a banner punch out of this just by laying it in here and letting this punch do the work. So I just learned this trick, and so if any of you have this punch, this is another way to use it. So I went ahead and just made the little banner out of that. And before I do that, I'm actually going to, this of course is just your standard size card base, which is 5.5 by 4.25. And so I'm going to layer this on the base here too. So hopefully have that fairly straight here. I'll just lay that down. And then I'm going to layer my banner to kind of cover up that seam there. You can play around with, you know, this is not an exact measurement, but it's whatever you think looks right. And I'm gonna maybe push that down a little further to show more of that floral on the top. And then I'm using, this is one of the labels. I love this die. This is one of my favorite. This is from the Tasteful Labels dies. There's so many good labels here. You'll see that I've used a lot of these on my other cards as well, but that is just this coordinating label right there. So before I layer that on, I'm actually going to stamp that. So with a sentiment, and I'm gonna have to, I think this is from the Free as a Bird set. I will link everything below, but I just went ahead and stamped this up, and it's just a sentiment I like that says the world needs more of you. So I'm just gonna quick eyeball that, stamp that on the little label, and then I'm going to, I don't have my, I would probably pop this up, but I don't actually have my little dimensionals near me. So I'm just gonna lay it on flat onto the card. So that was just a super quick, easy card. I may have gotten a little ink on that label, which easy enough. I can cut another one and layer it right on top, but this just gives you an idea of what, you know, how quick and simple this card is. So I'm going to go ahead and flip through my other examples and show you just, there's so many different, you know, you can make it, each of these unique, even though they're really the same layout, just by using different labels and everything. You can make these all just their own cards. So here is a different card layout. This little circle is from that Tasteful Labels dies. This circle around that is from the Painted Labels dies, which is kind of part of the, it's bundled up with part of a bundle. So again, I'll link it all below. The label goes right here. I have misplaced it, so I need to find that in my mess here, but it's a really pretty label, and it fits nicely with the little scalloped or kind of starburst edge there. And this hello is also from that Free as a Bird set. So again, we'll link below. Here's another layout using those papers, coordinating with the Magenta Madness and the Misty Moonlight paper. This one I actually pulled some of the ribbon that goes with the Forever Greenery Suite, and I used that, and then some of those starburst labels, which I think they have a cool stitching on them. So I just love, I think some of these papers are so pretty. These kind of seemed like wintry for me, so I thought, one, I also used the Settles embossing folder in the background for the card base, and then I just layered up different pieces, put a little thin strip of scrap here in the background behind that, and layered it up. Here's another one similar to the one we just made. It's of course just flipped, as I was saying, that same exact layout, same stamp, but different papers and flipped. So I thought this is one of my favorites. And then this is cute with the sunflowers. And then here's another one that's more Christmassy. This is from the Rooted in Nature, this Just For You little stamp set. And here I just put some gold foil on. So anyway, those are my sample cards. So at the end, you might have some pieces that you didn't use, or I was just kind of done making these, and I had some other little scraps here. So this is an example of something I love to do these days with my scraps, is to make these little cards with the scrappy strips with kind of little white space in between. So I was just going to quickly show how I make those and share the measurements that I use. So I think the thing about this is that it looks like this white on white is that these are all perfectly placed on here on this white layer. But the trick to this is to have two different layers to put your scraps on. So what I end up doing is this first layer measures, 2 3/4 by 4. And oh, I didn't share that. So I'll share the measurements too on this other piece. I don't think I did that. This measures 2 3/4 by 4. And then I have another piece of the same color. I'm using white in this, and that's 3 by 4 1/4. And so I'm going to layer my strips kind of just along here, putting in white space. So I would just layer them up, just cut them wonky, it doesn't matter. You just kind of layer them all on the piece of paper. And when you're done, you're going to have pieces that are coming off the edge. I would just go and trim those off on all sides. Then once that's done, I would layer it on this piece of white paper. So it makes it look like all these strips have just been layered along on the sheet of paper. But of course, it would be difficult to get them to all be even. So you're kind of giving this illusion by using that paper. And then I would go ahead and just mount that on this other piece of paper, which measures, it's harder to see, but this is 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. And that's the same size. So as I'm making these all together, I had some extra pieces cut too for these cards. But that's the same base layer that you layer the pattern paper on, 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. And so then you just layer them all up and pop them on the card. And then I just used more labels from that Tasteful Labels set and the stamp from the Free as a Bird set. So if anyone has any questions, please let me know. But I just think it's fun to have a layout. It's kind of, I like to do sometimes you're watching a movie and just have it on in the background, or watching YouTube videos and just not have to think so hard. Just have like having these labels, having a few stamps, and knowing what I was going to do with them. It was just playing with the paper then, and it's not recreating the wheel every time. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I would love it if you would like and subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Please let me know if you have any questions. I'll include all my information below. I did want to mention too that there is a new Stampin' Up! Catalog, a mini catalog coming out in August. If you are interested in getting on my mailer for that, please go ahead. I'll have details in the box below, but you can send me an email and with your information, and I can put you on my mailing list. So anyway, thanks so much. Hope you have a great day.